Welcome back to the show, Rachel.
Thank you.
Now, a lot's happened since the last time you were on, but let's start with some backstory just to catch people up in case they didn't see your first episode.
Okay.
Now your drugs of choice were?
Meth, uh, Adderall, alcohol, just kind of a mixture of it. It just evolved over time and mixed it up a little bit, just kind of all over the place with it.
Yeah. When did you start drinking or using?
Around 12?
And you found alcohol first?
Yeah.
And you were a foster kid, weren't you?
Yeah.
How was that upbringing?
Overall it was good. I had a lot of different experiences, some negative, some positive, but I don't like to talk about it so much because I'm on good terms with the family now, with my family. But it was definitely rocky growing up.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, it usually is growing up that way.
Yeah.
And how fast do you find meth as a teenager?
It wasn't really as a teenager. It wasn't until I was getting out of high school. During high school, it was more so alcohol and a lot of pills.
And what kind of pills? Adderall?
No, it was actually I think the first ones I started on were somas.
Muscle relaxers?
Yeah, and then it was Xanax and oxys.
That's funny that you were on all downers when you're like meth was one of your drugs of choice.
Yeah.
And so how long does it take you to find meth?
Not very long. It was pretty much right after high school.
Okay. And a friend had it or you wanted it?
No, my friends had it, but I was living with my oldest son's dad at his grandma's house, and she was the one who actually got me started on pills. She would hand them out to me like candy. And
And
then when I started doing meth, then it was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing today. All right, all right. Like,
And all right, so that at least gives some backstory for people that didn't know. And you and I both unfortunately lost our fathers within like a week of each other. I feel
yeah,
like it maybe been a couple days because mine was June 12th, and I feel like yours was like a couple days later, or a couple days
June
before.
10th. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a couple days before. That's crazy. I'm sorry about your loss,
You
which I
too.
already, yeah, which we've already. Rachel and I are friends now, and we'll just send each other funny videos. um, now, what happened since the last time we talked?
I had a
Like,
stroke.
you had a stroke.
Yeah.
How many years clean are you?
I'll be 8 years in March.
8 years in March. So, how long in your recovery did the stroke occur? Like,
March.
when did you have the stroke?
I had it in last October.
So almost a year now.
Yeah. Next month will be a year.
Do they know why like that happens?
They said it was just a postpartum complication from childbirth. Because I guess after you have a baby, your highest risk for having a stroke is 2 weeks after, and mine happened 11 days after.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you're a new mom again.
Yeah.
That's the thing happened in sobriety. How many kids do you have?
4?
You have 4. And the baby, obviously, I can hear him in the background.
No, that's my daughter coughing.
Oh. Um. So how did you take the stroke? Like, I don't know how I would process that if that happened to me.
I'm still processing it little by little, kind of every day. It's still sometimes feels like it's just a nightmare, or I'm going to wake up from it. And then I'm like, nope, it's my life. But his dad has him and he takes really good care of him. So I'm fortunate for that.
Okay. Yeah, because that would be a lot for you to take on if you were trying to take care of a newborn while did you have to relearn how to walk again?
Yeah, I had to relearn everything. My entire left side was completely paralyzed.
And how much have you progressed in the last year?
I can walk now. I use a cane, but my leg is good. It's just my left arm and my left hand that I'm working on now.
Okay. But you're a right-handed person?
Yeah.
That's a relief. They didn't have to like learn to write with a different hand.
Yeah, and surprisingly, that does happen to a lot of people.
Where they're left-handed and it happens is the left side of your body what happens in a stroke?
It seems it's most common that it. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. Sorry, someone's here. What? Huh?
Pizza's here.
What pizza?
Domino's.
I didn't order pizza.
Domino's.
It's Grandma Kim's then.
Can I get it?
Yes, go take it to her. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
My kid's like, the pizza's here. I'm like, I didn't order pizza.
So how does your recovery look today differently than before?
I was actually thinking about that earlier. It's like I feel like I've just been in a constant recovery my entire life, whether it's childhood trauma, addiction, and now stroke. And so it's like, but I've had to compartmentalize my recovery a lot because the things that are good for my stroke recovery are not necessarily what would be ideal for my recovery from addiction.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, like I would have really severe headaches that would just debilitate me, and the only thing that would make them go away was Norcos. So I would battle with it a lot because I was like, okay, I cannot live like this with my head feeling like this. So I would take the Norco, but then it was like, but I know Norco is not good for my recovery.
Now, for people that don't know, what's a Norco?
It's an opiate.
What kind? Like, there's a lot of opiates out there.
It's a pill form.
Okay, but it's not as strong as like an oxy.
No.
Okay, that's good then. And
Yeah.
are they prescribed to you?
Yeah.
Well, then you have no worries then. If you're taking something prescribed to you, that's one thing. Or if you're not taking anything and abusing it, that's the same kind of thing. In my opinion, it's not affecting your recovery.
Right. But my doctor definitely made it apparent that if it was something I wanted to keep on, she would be like, toss them to me. Because when I first started taking them, I was like, I'm only going to take it when I absolutely have to. And then it got to the point where it was like, no, if I can take them 3 times a day, I'm going to take them 3 times a day because I don't want these headaches. And then I had to like kind of check myself, like, do I need this 3 times a day? Or am I taking it because I'm telling myself it's fine to take it 3 times a day? And so I don't know, I would go back and forth with it a lot. So
But it's helpful.
yeah.
You're taking it as a medication and it's working as a medication.
Right.
The other thing that we talked about before was the Secret Silly Soda Club.
Yeah.
Now, what is that?
The book I published a few years ago.
And it's on Amazon.
Yes.
I have a copy of it.
Yay.
It was really good for people to like give an easy read for children and understand what meetings are.
Thank you.
And the fact that California calls them birthdays and not everywhere calls them birthdays is like they're called anniversaries here in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
necessarily. What's that?
I said in California we call them birthdays.
Oh, I know. I first got sober out there. I think your blanket's covering the speaker because I'm not really hearing you. Sorry.
It's okay.
I can't see you. There you go. Yeah, you're allowed to smoke on my show. It's fine. So why did you write this book?
I wrote the book to open the door for parents to have conversations with their kids in a light way. Also, so that it could be relatable for kids going through it so they don't feel so alone. I know personally growing up in the environment I did, there was no books that I could relate to. I remember thinking about it, like the closest thing I could relate to would be like a child called It, and that was so extreme. There was like nothing in between. It's like rainbows and butterflies or your mom's telling you to eat a diaper. Like so I wanted to have books that would be relatable to all kids because I think a lot of times addiction stems from being outcasted and not knowing where you fit in. And I don't know, I
You
just thought it could.
you've written multiple books, you just haven't published them yet.
Right.
And isn't one of them about growing up in foster care?
Yeah.
Is another one about anxiety too, or is that the same one?
No, there's another one about trauma.
What kind of trauma did you have as a kid?
Mine was there was a lot of sexual abuse and physical abuse, even from prior going into foster care.
Okay, and from people you knew?
Yeah, it was like my sibling's dad, um,
Your
my
sibling?
sister's friend. Like there was a lot of using going around and not very much supervision. So
I mean, how old were you when that happened?
when it first happened, it was before I was even 3 years old.
You're like the second person this weekend that I talked to that had something happen when they were 3.
Really?
Yeah. Yep, you're definitely not alone in that. And the other one, you were older?
Yeah, the other one I was 9 and then 16, 17, 12. It was kind of often, not often, but there was different major occurrences that happened growing up.
And do you think that it had anything like to do with how your addiction stemmed from it?
Yeah, I was like wanting to numb it and not wanting to think about it and not having a proper place to talk about it.
Yeah, like you didn't know like any kind of meetings or anything like that. It's not like there's meetings for SA.
Right,
There's there should be meetings for that so people can get together and know they're not alone. But it's hard to do as a child to even talk about, let alone follow through with it and do something like that.
right.
Um, because you have to feel really lonely when those kinds of things happen, when you feel like you can't talk about it with anybody.
Definitely.
Um, now, was it you that used cannabis in your recovery or somebody else?
No, I think that's somebody else.
Okay, I wasn't sure. We talked about mushrooms the other day and how beneficial they are for your stroke.
Yeah.
And mushrooms again are legal in California.
Hmm.
So it's not like you're breaking your sobriety, you're using a medication to help with your stroke.
Yeah, it was another thing that's like controversial here because it's like same with cannabis and the mushrooms. It's some people are so like it's mind altering. You're not clean. And then to me it's like I'm not taking mushrooms to get high or to trip. I don't even like tripping or hallucinogens.
And and there's a way to take mushrooms without it actually um tripping. Like
And that's
micro
how I take my microdose.
yeah. Like they all they do is they're really beneficial when you microdose. Like there's been documentaries on Netflix about using mushrooms in a positive way.
They're even starting to, I mean, Big Pharma's even starting to do more research on them to see how they can use them for medications.
Like make them in pill form.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, once Big Pharma does it, then it'll be legal across the country to have
Oh, yeah.
mushrooms. Do you think mushrooms will get legalized first or cannabis?
That's hard to say because In California, I feel like there's like it's all a gray area. Like in the stroke recovery groups, people ask me, "Oh, mushrooms are legal in California?" And I'm like, "I think so. I can buy them wherever."
They're sold at like gas stations,
No, they at all the weed shops though, you can get mushrooms.
which there's plenty of in California.
Yeah, everywhere.
Because that's where I got sober. So, but I went to a sober living called High Sobriety, where literally they let you use cannabis in a sober living.
Yeah.
Not like smoking it or anything like that, but use it as a medication to where like an aid to help you sleep at night or a tincture to help with anxiety throughout the day. Like there are, and I still use cannabis to this day, 5.5 years into my recovery. And cannabis is still something I use every day in one form or another. And it's not like I get blitzed out of my mind or anything like that. Like I don't even I don't, it's not like all day long I'm getting high.
Right.
Like, and that's what people think sometimes when they think somebody's using cannabis. It's like, no, I'm of sound mind. Like it helps me sleep at night and it helps with my anxiety during work. Not that I'm smoking while I'm working. I mean, like I wake up in a good mood
Yeah.
because like it's one of those things that still has an effect on you, at least for me, where the next day I can wake up and feel like great again, not hungover because like trazodone, you take that and you get knocked out, but you wake up feeling like you have a hangover.
Right.
And so I was refusing to take that as a sleep aid. And Ambien gave me headaches.
See, they prescribed me Ambien and it's not working.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. Then they put me on what's that called? A really popular drug in rehab. Um,
Hydroxyzine,
no, for sleep.
Seroquel.
Seroquel. They put me on that, and that put me in the hospital
Oh wow.
because my blood pressure and my BP went up to like my heart was going like 160 beats per minute, and my blood pressure was like 170 over 120.
You're lucky you didn't have a stroke.
I know. I know that was one of the things. Like I googled Seroquel negative effects, and boom, it came up what like Seroquel high blood pressure. It's like you could die, go right to the hospital, and I had to sit in the hospital for 4 hours while they pumped IV and Ativan into my IV to bring me back down again.
Wow.
This podcast is also sponsored by BetterHelp. If you are looking for therapy and not able to get something right away locally, you can do that with them. Within 48 hours, you can find a therapist to get on telehealth with you. I mean, I haven't heard anything but great things from people that have already done it, that watch my show or listen to my show. If you're looking to get 10% off your first month, you can go to betterhelp.com/MJsPNPMCA. That is betterhelp.com/MJsPNPMCA.
Like I'm lucky that I didn't die from Seroquel, so I refuse to take that. Now I use Zyprexa, and that in the combination of cannabis knocks me out pretty good. And I wake up at 6:30 every morning for work, and I feel great. I don't feel hungover at all. I can talk to people, and I'm talkative still. So I'm like a firm believer that people can use cannabis in a positive way, and I try to like set that example, and that's why I'm so open about it, is because I want other people to like not feel alone about using cannabis, because there's a ton of people that use cannabis in recovery and don't tell anybody, and they're afraid that if they tell somebody, they're going to say to them, well, you're not sober because you use cannabis. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. And it good.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it drives me insane. It's like when people in recovery give other people a hard time about using Suboxone or methadone. It's like,
Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's the unmanageability. If your life is unmanageable because of something, then yeah, then you're breaking your sobriety because you're using it to abuse it, because your life is unmanageable. It's not like I'm losing my house because I use cannabis.
right.
You know what I mean? I'm not getting chased by the cops because I use cannabis. It's not like that at all. I just think there's so many different ways that people don't view things. People project their own things onto people in recovery. And it's usually the old timers in recovery that get in people's heads because they're like, "Wow, I didn't do it, so you don't need it."
Yeah.
And it's like you're making things worse for people. That's why I hate counting days. I hate counting days because say you get to 90 days, it's a huge milestone, but you slip up and you get high and you tell them like, "Hey, like I got high." They're like, "Well, you're back to 0 days." That person's going to leave and go get high again because they're at 0 days and they could die.
Yeah.
And as opposed to say they had a slip up at 90 days, but cut to 5 years later, they're like, "I only had one slip in 5 years." And I feel like people don't have that kind of mindset because it's drilled in their head. You got to count your days. And if you get high, you got to reset. No, if you get high, you just got to be aware of it and aware of why you got high and not do it again. You're not starting over. You're still going. Like I have a
And you're starting
sponsee
from
that slipped.
experience.
Yeah, exactly. I have a sponsee that slipped. He was like, "You cut me back down to 0 days." I said, "No." I was like, "You're at 7 months still. You're almost at a year. Let's not worry about it." Now he's almost at 2 years. So I think that if I would have told him, "Yeah, you're at 0 days again," he would have went and smoked some meth.
Right.
It's as simple as that because he would have been like, "Well, I'm at 0 days. I might as well do it." But how are you feeling with everything?
Better. Definitely doing a lot better now. The first probably 6 months was the most difficult.
How long did it take to walk again?
About 4 months.
About 4 months.
Yeah.
And we both have the same thing in common that we both have done stand-up comedy now.
Yeah.
How was that doing comedy like post-stroke while in recovery? You're like juggling many balls while on stage.
Yeah. It was really good though. I had so much fun doing it. And supposed to go on tour in a few months.
With
soon.
Sean.
Yeah, with Sean.
With Goldberg from
Yeah.
Mighty Ducks. Not everybody knows that Goldberg from Mighty Ducks, in case you didn't know, had a really bad problem with drugs, and it kind of went viral. His his mugshot kind of went viral.
Oh yeah, TMZ picked that up really fast.
Yeah, and because I remember seeing his mugshot and being like, "Holy shit!" And then now you see his before and after, and you're like, "Okay, good, like that's awesome." And now he's doing comedy, and I don't know him that at all, but I know who he is, and because I grew up loving the Mighty Ducks, I played hockey when I was a kid, so like I love the Mighty Ducks, and Goldberg always wore Flyers jerseys, and that's my favorite team. So when I first saw his mugshot, I felt horrible for him because that's such a shitty way to have people know, get an update on where you are in life.
Right.
Is by having your mugshot go viral. How does he cope with that?
He's doing really well.
Has he got like a year or two?
I think he's got 3. Definitely 2, but I believe he's either got 3 or he's coming up on 3.
Okay. Yeah, and it's one of those things where you can have that negatively affect you and get out of jail and continue to use again because why do I even care? Or it can positively affect you and want to change and actually put the right steps in place to actually change.
Right.
Now, when did you get your relationship back with your dad? I know like he passed, but you grew up in foster care. So when did you get that when did you meet your dad again?
I met him when I was 27. I did an ancestry DNA kit, and after trying to find him my entire life, I have finally found him through ancestry DNA.
That's amazing. What about your mom?
My mom, I've always known her.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What, did you have like visits with her and shit like that?
No, we were taken away from her when I was 3, and my little brother and sister were about 18 months.
Are they twins?
Yeah. And then I started having visitations with her when I was about 11.
Okay. And your dad is different from your brother and sister?
Yeah, we all have different dads.
Okay. And now, when you finally meet your dad, how old are you now if you were 27 when you met him?
I'm 32 now.
Okay, so you got to be in his life for like 5 years.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah. How do you think meeting him affected you?
It definitely made me feel more whole as a person. It gave me a better idea and understanding of who I am and where I came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was something that bothered me a lot growing up, not knowing that other half of me. I knew my mom, but it was like, who's this other part of me? You know, like, what do I get from him?
That's crazy though. Ancestry.com is how, like,
Yeah.
and did your mom not want to tell you?
She couldn't remember. She was so into her addiction that she was doing, you know, whatever for money or whatever for drugs. And when I came around, she had given children, when I was taken away, they asked for a list of potential fathers so that they could get in contact with them to do DNA tests because they would have the first rights to me if they were my dad. And she gave them like an insane number of names. I want to say it was like 17, but I could be wrong. It could have been exaggerated when it was told to me, but it was a lot. And none of those men were my dad.
How did your dad react to finding out he had a 27-year-old daughter?
He was excited. Him and the whole family welcomed me with open arms. It was really cool. I was really lucky that they reacted so well.
Yeah. Did he have other kids?
Yeah, he had 5 kids, including
Oh,
me, 4 others.
so you got to have some brothers and sisters added to the family?
Yeah, which I was kind of like, oh, I don't want any more siblings.
Yeah, because you grew up in foster care. You already had a brother and sister younger than you.
My mom had 7 kids. My dad had 4 kids. And my foster family had 4 kids also. So I was just like.
So you're, wait, 7, 4, 11. You're one of 15 kids?
Yeah.
That is a lot. Where do you fall in that 1 of 15? Older,
I'm
youngest?
in the middle.
Okay, you're in the middle of the 15.
Like right in the middle, yeah.
That's a wild number. I haven't talked to anybody that had that many siblings that you're 1 of 15.
Yeah, that's when I found out he had more kids, I was like, oh, really? Oh.
And then now you have 4 kids yourself.
Yeah.
That is quite the family you're building.
Yeah, I'm hoping to keep mine together, though.
Yeah, which obviously they are. I mean, I understand. It's not like you lost your son due to addiction,
Right.
You're still really present in his life. You just don't have him every day because you're trying to recover from your stroke.
Right.
Which makes complete sense.
Yeah, I FaceTime with the baby at least twice a day. And then he lives in Simi Valley and it's about 2 hours from me. So I usually stay in Ventura a few times a month to hang out with him.
Mm.
But his dad's doing a really good job. So I'm just glad about that.
Yeah, that's a relief. It's got to be like if the dad wasn't around and you were trying to learn how to walk again while trying to be a new mom again, I feel like that would be a disaster.
If it was at all possible, I would have done it.
But it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you literally can't do anything for yourself at first, let alone for somebody else.
Right.
And to give birth and then 11 days later be in that kind of, did you know what was happening when it happened? What were you doing when it happened?
I bent down to pick up a water bottle and then I couldn't sit back up.
And just like that.
Yeah.
Did you call the ambulance or did someone call it for you?
No, the baby's dad called 911.
Oh, because you were with them at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you get rushed to the hospital, and are you awake at this point, or?
Yeah, but they started pumping me with Dilaudid and morphine pretty quick, so it started to get hazy fast.
Yeah, then you wake up and you're like, what just happened to me?
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't feel my left side.
I couldn't even sit up.
You couldn't even sit up.
Mm-mm.
So the fact that you're sitting up right now is a huge thing. I mean, you're coming up right around a year
Yeah.
post-stroke. And did you have any, like, postpartum too? Like, depression from that?
I don't think so, but if I did, it definitely combined with the whole stroke depression.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing good, and I'm glad we're still friends and we still communicate all the time. I appreciate you coming back on and talking about, oh, always. And I'm glad you came on and talked about your recovery and your stroke and gave a little backstory again. I know not everybody saw your first one. For your book, I'll put the link inside the bio. So if you're interested in the what is it called again?
The Secret Silly Soda Club?
Yeah, that's what I thought I said. Good. Put that. I'll put it in the bio. It's not that expensive. It's like $10 or something like that on Amazon. Pick it up, support her because she's killing it. All things considered, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But have a good day, Rachel. I'll talk to you later.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Bye.